What's up, guys? To the two of you that have stumbled across this video, this is not the 21.
Pretentious.
This is Jay.
That's hella generous, man.
Yeah,
I know,
This
right,
it's
too?
definitely not true.
this is
I know.
Yami, and the other guy is Kane.
My name is
Fuck
Kane.
you. Yeah,
Hello.
fuck you. I'm taking
Hi.
your introduction.
And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
Jay.
that's fine. Yeah. So this is a
So
part
last
two, right?
episode, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about what we did, Kane?
Uh, is that like a serious thing, or should I? Are you telling me to
Yeah,
shut
just
up? I
just
can
tell
do
just
both.
tell him just tell
Oh.
him what we're doing. Just tell him what we're
Oh
doing right
yeah.
now.
No. So Jay got cut off by Yami because
Okay, for
Yami's a
fuck's sake.
jerk.
I'm the okay.
So
I'm the
Alright.
moderator,
so
bro.
Jay.
It's what I do. It's what
Okay,
I
yeah. So
do,
Jay,
man.
he's going to talk about
Okay.
implicit bias for a little bit. I mean, like this is sort of a part two to the discussion that we were having in the first episode, and the first episode was a lot about the protests, but now I think we're talking a little bit deeper, just about implicit bias and how that's kind of like the underlying cause of everything. Uh, Jay was getting to a really good place, and hopefully we get to talk about like what a better police system would look like too, maybe
What
if we have time.
what we think. What we think.
What we think, yes.
Yeah.
Stress on the whole thing about these are our opinions. We don't really know anything. We're just putting whatever we think out there.
Yup. And
And
at the end of the day, we are here to learn. We want to learn.
yes,
So
yes,
comment down below.
yeah.
Don't
If you disagree
subscribe. Don't
with
subscribe
us,
right now. I don't think we deserve
no,
that, do we?
what are you saying? Okay, yeah,
It's kind of like a reverse psychology. It's kind of like a
sure.
reverse psychology.
And so part of that's telling them what you're doing. Part of that's saying reverse psychology.
I'm telling
No,
him
no,
not.
no. But if
Yeah.
you disagree with us, then I'm sure Yami and Jay will treat you respectfully. I will again hunt you down. That's my. This is going to be my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it. So Jay,
Alright, let's
continue
do
your
it.
point.
Right. So last episode we talked about how the killing of George Floyd was obviously racially charged. No debate there. I think. I hope. But there
Also, just to
there
quickly
is debate
provide.
there. Sure. I mean, you
No, no,
can't
no, no,
Wow,
no,
be.
no, no,
Yami.
no, no,
So
no,
you
no,
actually,
no,
so you
no, no, no,
actually
no, no,
don't think it
no,
was racially
no
charged?
debate. I just wanted to clarify that at this moment of the recording, George Floyd, sorry, not George Floyd, Officer Derek Chauvin has been charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Oh wait. Second degree manslaughter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, third degree is
Um,
I'm really stupid. Sorry, third degree is worse than first.
no. First is the worst.
First is worse,
Sec
yeah.
Second is the
and
best.
no, yeah.
Terrible. That's terrible, man.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you know
I get
what?
it.
I'm just
Okay, yeah.
gonna.
First degree, yeah. Okay, sure. Wait, so then that's not good, right?
Well, third degree
Shouldn't we
murder
be?
involves the unlawful killing of a human being um, without any design to effect death. So death wasn't the
There's no
intent.
motive. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, but
The
being charged with murder is bad, regardless of what degree it is. I don't know.
True, but there's a difference in sentencing, right? Like
Yes.
the
But
point is that if it's
but
more severe, it
yeah,
disincentivizes other people
yeah,
to do the same thing.
exactly. Yeah, but at this moment of the recording, he has been charged with third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Minnesota law official originally defined. Oh wait. Okay, never mind. I wasn't going anywhere with that.
No, that's fine.
I was reading an old
Anyway,
statute.
what's your point about the implicit bias? Let's get on that.
Yeah. So as we were talking about before, I believe that we were talking about whether increasing the amount of minority police officers. What was so funny?
I don't know. Yami's
Oh,
just
okay.
going crazy. But yeah.
Did I say someone's real name again?
No.
Because that's
No,
like.
No. Yeah, so off
No,
recording.
I took. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sorry.
No, yeah, but sorry, keep going.
Please
We were
start. Yeah,
talking
keep
about
going.
minority police officers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about whether increasing the amount of minority police officers would help in preventing things like this from happening again. But we argued that me and Yami brought up the point how it's still not going to combat the underlying cause of how implicit bias and prejudice shapes the decisions that
Yeah.
these police officers might make when it comes to these tense situations. And
Mm.
I just wanted to bring up the point that implicit bias is something that's continually reinforced, which is why it's sort of like a weed that is difficult to take out, and not just implicit bias. I would go so far to say prejudice as well. It's sort of like a weed that's like passed down from parent to child as well. You know,
It's
when you
like a
grow up in a
cyclical,
household,
yeah.
it's a
And
cyclical thing.
when we talk about
Yeah.
we don't mean the smoking one or the ingestible one. We talk about
What are you
shrubbery.
doing? What are you doing?
Well,
No, you're right. Yeah, it's a
just want to
cyclical
clarify.
prejudice that's like passed through from generation to generation. It's a real problem. Although, but you're saying that like it's something that doesn't get better? Is that what your point is, or?
well, I'm saying that it's something that we need to look. Well, we need to have what's it called? Um, a mindset going forward in time to educate the youth, educate our children, the future of America, essentially, about racial equality, and even just understanding the bias that they might already have. Because I think, like personally, yeah, based I am implicitly biased to a degree as well. Everyone is, of course, right?
For sure.
Because based on
Yeah.
the experiences you have and the things you see from a young age, you're gonna act a certain way, whether you like it or not. You're gonna think about things a certain way.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think it's like, well, yeah, and I think we've definitely gotten better as a nation, right? We've taken out a lot of sort of racist institutions that existed before. We've, integrated. We've done a lot of things that have been very important, and we have a lot of ways to go, as these protests show. There's a thing about implicit bias where this is this is a little unrelated. So I'm not. So if you want to contend with this, do so. If you don't, I'm fine with that. But I was kind of thinking about it where, like, when Obama got elected, there was like this sort of post-racial narrative that was put out where, now we don't have to care about
Oh
race
my
anymore.
god. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
and
hated that. I
so,
Well,
hated
no,
that.
no, no,
I
no, no,
hated
no.
that.
But okay,
I
okay.
hated
I would like
that.
to
but
say, I
but
would
is
like to
that kind of
say,
the place that where you want to get to, like where race doesn't
I
matter?
think when it came to politics, Obama's narrative is what allowed him to win. And I think that is a good narrative. Personally, I think that
Oh
was a
yeah.
good narrative to have. Like the post-partisan mindset.
Yeah, yeah,
I love that idea. Like it's not the red states, it's not the blue states, it's the United States of America,
yes, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh
And
my
that's the
god.
sort of message. I think that's what matters. That's like post-party. Like, listen, we all have issues we care about. This is what matters, and it's honestly sort of kind of what we're doing here, right? In terms
yeah,
of creating that sort of dialogue
yeah.
between just different people with different opinions. But I don't think that was meant to, what's it called, think that, oh, like racial equality has arrived. I don't think that was the platform's message.
Yeah.
Oh no no
So
no. Sorry. I thought what Kane was trying to argue was that the narrative put forward by many
Oh,
people
oh,
on the
okay.
right, many people on the right, and I would argue some people on the left, try to argue that we are at the end of racism. We can no
Oh,
there is no racism whatsoever. We elected a black president, and I
that
think
was
that
I
actually kind of
see.
what was, yeah.
yeah,
I
I think
see.
the contention is that no, that was definitely not the case.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
racism
guess my
still
question is
exists.
like, do you think, like, how implicit is okay, so how implicit do you think racism is? Like
And who?
how
And
in
us?
just sort of everyone, like, is a racist
Hmm.
person, are they taught that, or is that something that they're sort of just born with? Because that's the kind of thing that I've thought about a little bit, and I don't have an answer. That's why
I
I'm
I, th-
asking that.
I think that the general sentiment or the ideal sentiment that everyone wants to go for is that racism is taught.
Yes.
Um, hate
But,
or when people, but um,
ooh,
oh,
okay.
but see, it's hard because when I think that when I hear those things about hate being taught or racism being taught, I often find myself encountered with examples where the people, the former racists that have sort of moved away from that, the former racists that have moved away from that, are people who have had troubled backgrounds. Maybe their father was abusive, maybe their mother was abusive. And I've also heard examples of where simply there were people whose parents just said, "Oh, black people are terrible. Like they're so and so and so."
Could you give examples of just what we are specifically talking about?
What do you mean?
I mean, in the sense of like, so you're arguing that like racism is something it's like a mindset that's brought
Okay.
on, or it's something that you
No,
sort of
see,
born and believe in.
this is where I'm sort of rambling. This is where I feel like I'm rambling, but I want to believe that racism is taught. You know,
Yes.
Right.
racism is taught. But even for me, personally, as an anecdote, I found that I also have certain prejudices that I didn't realize that I'm pretty sure weren't taught to me. You
Right.
know, like there have been things that my parents have told me that are incredibly racist, but I don't believe them. I never grew up believing them. But there are other implicit biases in this case, or implicit prejudices that I hold, that I am aware of, that I'm like, my parents never taught me this or told me this. It just, I don't know when it came up. I don't know when this originated.
See, because
Okay.
that's like
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically troubling. Yeah.
So
Right. But
that's where that's where I feel like I'm a little
Yeah.
sorry for like sort of butting in, but
No,
like
that's fine.
just
It's
and just
fine.
end my point. Just
No, it's what you
that's
do.
where
It's all good.
that's the whole the racism is taught thing. I want to believe that's the case, but because then I can unlearn it. But I don't know where the origin of my prejudice, some of my
Yeah.
prejudices come from.
See,
So
because the
I
then,
problem
mean,
is that
yeah,
if it hasn't been taught, right, like in what you're saying, because I don't know, it's scary, right? Because if it's taught, then that means that it can be untaught
hmm
and unlearned, sorry, and then you can like, we can have a society that's being pushed to being,
hmm
post-racial, and that would be great. But if it's implicit, then that's a little unfortunate because that means that like no matter what we do, we're kind of stuck in this weird kind of place, and that's terrible because then like what is the progression towards, like, is that ever going to be
hmm
valuable or possible?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And I mean, I just really want to follow that up. I think when it comes to implicit bias, it's not talking about whether one has a genetic disposition. Like I don't think I mean, as of now, I haven't seen any studies about one's genetic, and I would be open to like even read about this right now after this, but one's genetic predisposition to be racist. Because I know biologically there is that sort of concept of in group and out group, right? Psychologically, that's a thing
Sure.
that
Yeah.
has been observed.
Right.
But I think that it doesn't necessarily have to be your parents saying that like racist things and you consciously denying that. I think as a kid, like we have memories that we can't, even remember, but it's that sort of culture, it's the action, it's the
Yeah.
media around us, right? That shapes us in a way, whether we like it or not. That shapes our
Yeah.
mental processes in a way that does become implicit, whether we explicitly express those or not. So I do
Although,
I still think that's learned. I'm sorry to cut you off there because
no,
I
that's
still
fine.
think that's learned
It's what you do too.
because we do, and you do that as well. But
wow,
it's
okay,
learned and it's also experienced.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a better perspective to. I mean, like that's more optimistic, right? I mean, I guess there's no way to prove this. So I mean, I'm maybe asking the questions unproductive, but I just wanted to sort of frame what we were talking about in that kind of way because I think we would all love to live in a post-racial world. I think that would be great, because then things like, George Floyd, like that just wouldn't happen,
Yeah.
ideally. And so that's what we want. But if it's like this implicit, disgusting kind of thing that we can't seem to get ourselves out of, then that's not great. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's taught. That's my belief. But,
And
Just
honestly, I think it's all about exposure at the end of the day. If the
yeah,
only exposure you
that's
have
true.
to someone that is to a black person or another, let's just say person of color even, is through Fox News, is through a narrative, right? That
yes,
is consistently being reinforced, then
Hmm.
yeah, you're gonna have some deep rooted biases, right? And I can't necessarily fault someone if that's the only thing they know. But that's why it's important as a society to increase the exposure
Hmm.
we have, cross
I
cultural communication.
in terms of exposure, then I want to offer a I want to ask a very I want to ask a question then. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking a lot about my personal anecdotes of mine, and I think it's mainly
Right.
because a lot of my personal experiences have allowed me to question what racism is. For example, I have a friend of mine who happens to be white. She grew up in an area that was predominantly Asian, and I had a very interesting conversation with her about how, oh, she said that she knows that she's white, obviously, and she's never had, and since she's been exposed to Asian people her whole entire life, she's gained an appreciation for Asian culture, and she loves being around Asian people, right? And I thought about it, and now I'm comparing it to the school that I go to, which is predominantly white, very wealthy, affluent white people, and a lot of them, the current, I guess, attitude that minorities hold at the school is that the white students at our school, don't aren't very welcoming towards other minorities, mainly because, and I guess the conjecture is that they came from environments, they came from places that weren't necessarily diverse.
sure.
So my question to you guys is, if we are given an individual, what is the proper age for society to expose them to such diversities? And if a person, let's say a white, for this example, if a white person would know white their whole entire life, is it too late then to expose them to different people? Because there's always going to be a sense of uncomfort or discomfort, I guess, because they don't know, and they're exposed to something that they don't know much about, and possibly they get most of their exposure from the news. Because
You
if
mean
you're a
for
white,
them to change their beliefs?
for them, yeah,
'Cause I mean, I think,
for them to
okay,
change their, because
I think
again,
it's
okay,
my personal,
possible at
my,
any
because
age.
yeah, because my first example was this white girl who had been exposed to Asian people her whole entire life, and she's
Yeah,
comfortable with them.
yeah.
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but she's also comfortable with white people, strangely enough.
Well,
So she's
she
Well,
is.
is it comfort?
Yeah,
Is it the question of
sorry. It's not
comfort or
strange, but
what?
no, it's just that she's very comfortable with Asian people, Asian
yeah.
people and white people, both. And the thing is,
Okay.
she hasn't
No,
been
yeah, I see
around.
what
She
you're
hasn't
saying.
been
It's a
around
good
a lot of white
question.
people. She hasn't been around a lot of white people in her life, but she's been around a lot of Asian people.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think the point is to just, if you're able to see someone as like three-dimensional and not as like part of a narrative, as you were saying, what's your name?
Yeah.
Jay,
Yami,
Yami.
I'm Jay. Oh, okay.
Yami and Jay, as you guys were both saying that, like, um, if you only see another race as through a narrative, then you're going to be like, the point is then you're going to specifically see them as like, however convenient it is, right? They're only going to be one person. This person's going to be reduced to a stereotype. The reason why I wasn't surprised that a white girl would be okay with other white people is because she
So
knows
yeah, I meant
herself.
yeah. Yeah, I misspoke. I
No,
misspoke.
but she knows herself, right? Like she knows that she's right and that she can have emotions and she can be whatever she wants to
Yes.
be. And
Uh-huh.
so in that sense, once you understand that about any person, about any race, and I'll be honest, I mean, like it's hard to willingly do that because there's a lot of markers in society that don't want you to do that. They just want you to be like, no, this person's a this person's a that. Just make it simple. And I think maybe like evolutionarily, we kind of want to sort people in that way. But like once you can realize that people are three-dimensional and that they have their own sort of agency and they want to do what they want to do, then I think it becomes better. You were saying it's a question of empathy, so I agree. I think it's like that.
See, I agree
Yeah.
with you. I agree with you. Sorry, I'll Jay, I'll let you speak after. I just have a quick comment. See, I.
How
No,
many
man, go
times
ahead.
will you let this happen, Jay?
Yeah, you know what? You know what, Yami? Shut the fuck up.
Okay. All right.
Finish your
See,
goddamn point.
this is some heated
This is
discussions we're
when you see
having.
the racism that
Yeah.
Yami has.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What
Okay.
were you
Well,
saying?
what the fuck? What the fuck? But
All right,
so
just finish your
here's
point. Yeah.
so I get that. I get that the example that I gave was that this woman was not she was comfortable with her own race with people like her because she knows them and she knows that
Yeah.
she's a three-dimensional person. Again, I'm giving my own experience, but I'm much more comfortable with I'm giving you guys a very specific example here, but this is primarily, I guess, the area that I grew up in. I'm more comfortable with Mexicans than I am or people of Latin descent than my own race. Even though I know that I am a three-dimensional person. I'm a person with feelings. I'm a person with motives. I'm a person I'm a person with complex feelings. I am more comfortable
Yeah.
with Mexicans and people of Latin descent than my own race.
But do you stereotype people of your own race though?
See, I
Like, do
guess
you
what do you mean?
consciously do that? I mean, like in the sense of whatever stereotypes your own race might have, right? I'm being
Yeah.
purposefully vague because of the pseudonym thing,
Exactly.
but like whatever stereotypes your own race has, and I think you're aware of them because I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm aware of the ones mine has in
Mhm.
like American pop culture and stuff. Do you abide by them? Do you think they're true?
The stereotypes for my race? Absolutely not.
There you are.
I just want to
Right?
cut
I
in
mean,
here. I'm gonna cut in here. Sorry.
Oh, of course, of course,
Um,
of course.
it's been too
Wow.
long.
Yeah.
It's been So shut the fuck up. It's been too
Jay
long
just wants
since
to
I've heard the
Jay
sound
wants
of
to
my
go.
voice. It's
Jay
been too
just wants
long
to
since
speak.
It's been
Just wants
too
to speak.
long.
You've dominated this
Come
whole
on.
entire podcast. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah. Come on.
I'm sorry, guys, but no,
No, no. What are you saying?
Fucking bitch.
I
Just
really wanted to make.
kidding.
Jesus
No,
Christ! Stop it.
Like, sorry. Jay, you can
no,
speak. Sorry.
but I really wanted to highlight the difference between being comfortable and breaking down stereotypes, because I think comfort is something that's a lot more that's like the experience you have, that's the way, that's your upbringing. But like stereotypes is like, this is connecting to the issue of George Floyd. This is connecting back to the need for racial change. So I mean, I definitely understand that. Yeah, there is like a level of comfort you feel with different races based on your upbringing, but when it comes to breaking down stereotypes, I think that's like the first step, right?
Uh-huh.
To getting comfortable, if even that. And I think that's like to follow up on what.
Mother of
Oh,
God.
oh my God.
For people who are listening to this and they hear a sudden bleep
Yeah.
5 seconds ago, it's because
You're
Jay
gonna do that?
spoke. Jay said the
Oh
real
my
name.
God.
Jay said
Okay.
Kane's real name, so we're just gonna bleep the fuck out. It's too late to
Oh
go
my
back now.
God.
Just keep talking. Just keep talking, you
You are gonna
bastard.
bleep that, right? You're gonna bleep that?
I'm going to bleep the fuck out of that. I'm going to
Jesus
bleep the
Christ.
fuck out of that.
Right.
Oh God. You just lost your whole train of thought.
No,
Ah.
I like where you were going with that, except until like it
Okay,
started to target me.
all I was trying to say was that I think that the most important thing is, first of all, breaking down stereotypes. And the first, obviously, that requires exposure. And I think like sort of a flowchart process of that involves like having an open-ended dialogue, finding common ground, and continuing to do that.
Mhm.
And those are things that are surprisingly hard to have. You know, and we talked about the age that's required to actually change someone's mindset. And speaking from a personal experience, and yeah, just what I've seen, like the older we get, I feel like the less open we are to change and
Oh
to
yeah,
accept how wrong we might be, you know?
it's because
I
we
feel
think we
like,
know everything. It's because we think we know everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I could, because this was a question someone had posed earlier, but I feel like it doesn't matter it doesn't matter uh, regardless of age. If presented enough evidence, I think I could change my opinion about anything,
Sorry.
and I feel like
Yeah.
maybe that was a bad
Yes. Sorry.
grammar. That was
No, no,
terrible
no, no,
grammar.
no,
Yeah.
no,
No.
no. It wasn't.
What I mean
Hmm.
to say is that like regardless of age, regardless of how old I am, whether I become 80 or like whether I was 5 or something, I think I'd be open to changing my mind about anything if I was given enough evidence. Like the idea that old people are racist because they don't want to be wrong, I think is not entirely true. I feel like
Yes.
they're just
Sorry.
not, they just don't reach out.
Sorry.
No one reaches out to them and everything.
I
Yeah.
misspoke. I misspoke. I think the reason why people are when they're older, typically when not the stereotype, but the popular idea that as you get older, you're less likely to change your viewpoint. I think I misspoke about what I thought my reasons were. I think the reason is because it's at that point you are a character of habit.
Yes.
You are a
For sure.
character of habit.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're naturally inclined towards certain perspectives. You're naturally inclined towards certain ideals. Like for example, I'm sorry. At this point, if I'm not racist, if I don't really adhere to very radical white supremacist ideals, I don't think I'm going to be a white supremacist 60
I
years
mean,
down
if
the
you
line.
became a white supremacist, that would be kind of interesting, to say the
and,
least. Yeah.
and not just no wait.
Considering,
Wait, I want to go off that because it's not just that too. I think there's also sort of a societal expectation that the older you grow, the more wiser you become. Like
Right.
once you reach
Right.
a certain age, like, oh
yes,
man, like
yes.
That's a really good
people
point.
gotta look up to you now. You know, you're the one that it's expected to know it all. And that I
Yeah.
think that causes people to sort of reinforce their beliefs that they might have. And when we have a need to sort of prove to ourselves we know what we know, I think that's when we start falling into narratives. That's when we try connecting the facts in the way that's the easiest to us. And I'm talking about if you're a liberal, that might be CNN to you. If you're conservative, that might be Fox News to you.
Right.
Either
You don't
way, I
want to be
think the
proven
blind
wrong.
acceptance for facts and quite like just looking at things without questioning them, that's sort of the problem there.
Although, I mean, that was definitely true. Like, I totally agree that was true before. I mean, at least a couple decades ago. But now, I feel like you could accuse people of all ages of the same kind of desire. I
Mm,
might be sounding like I'm contradicting myself, but what I mean is like I feel like everyone right now wants to be right, right? They all
mm,
want to be correct, and because they like you can reinforce whatever you believe based on anything you find online. You can very well just say that like, how dare you say I'm wrong? I have an article from this source and this source and this source that proves that you're wrong. So I feel like everyone kind of has that desire to be like wise. Like the societal pressure almost doesn't matter as much as just like the
right.
overall human desire to be like correct.
But
I
like,
don't know.
if
I
you
feel
have a
like
first grader in front of you, wouldn't you feel sort of a greater compulsion to just sort of communicate something
disregard
that
their
you,
opinion.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
even that, yeah, yeah.
That makes
yeah.
that
No,
makes
you're
sense.
right.
That makes sense, but you do have I feel like you do have a greater moral more great if you are someone who indeed likes to learn. If you're someone who indeed likes to pursue knowledge. While I don't doubt, you could be surprised. At first grade, if someone as young as a first grade could teach you something new.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No, knowledge,
Yeah.
true.
knowledge does not discriminate. Knowledge definitely does not discriminate.
No, it
Yes.
doesn't.
Yes.
You can be very young and you still teach someone just old, like 3, 5 times older than you. Like
Yeah,
the
100%.
the societal pressure that as you grow older you are expected to be wise. I feel that is incredibly wrong because it
Mm.
insinuates that older people know everything. It always and
well,
experiences.
I don't think Jay is saying. Well, Jay is definitely not saying that it's correct, right? I don't think.
I know it's not
Yeah.
correct, it's not correct. But I'm saying that it's harmful, especially in this day and age. Especially
Yeah, yeah,
we're living within the age of political correctness, which is like you said, Kane. It is political correctness is based on the notion that there is one right answer. There's one right view, right?
Wait,
that
wait,
would.
Yami, can you elaborate on that?
Political correctness. There is one correct view to have. There's the correct view, the political correctness. I mean, the definition is it's within itself. Correct. What does it mean to be correct?
Oh, is that? Oh, I've actually
Well,
never
I
put that
mean,
together. I'm not.
I
Wait,
mean,
hold
okay,
on.
so I'm reading out the Wikipedia definition of it,
All right, you beat me
and
to it.
political correctness is a term used to describe language, policies, or measures that are intended to avoid offense or disadvantage to members of particular groups in society. I mean, I don't necessarily think that PC or political correctness is bad. I think
I'm
that
not. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm sorry. I'm not. If I made it seem like that, I'm sorry. It's not that. I'm just saying that the society, this I guess the culture of political collect, the PC culture, it is based in the idea that there is one right answer. There's one right view to have. In my opinion, it's based on the viewpoint. Because what you just read, it's trying to avoid. What was it? Something? Can you read out the
Offense,
definition?
it's
causing offense.
language, policies, or measures that are intended to avoid offense or disadvantage to members of particular groups in society.
I think that
Yeah.
most people who are politically correct try to avoid offense. That is a popular vein that people go through, the venue that people go through.
Hmm.
So I could be wrong. Again, just
Wait, but okay. I think that's the definitional thing, right? Like most
yeah,
people that are using political correctness are not trying to offend people,
yeah.
right?
They're trying to offend people
Yeah. That's the definition
because
of the. Yeah.
because there is a wrong view to have, right?
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying now.
Uh, okay. Okay.
But
No,
it's
I
There's a
it's
there's
more
a,
about language. It's not about like the actual politics of what you're like. It's like
Are you sure? Are you
because
sure?
it's like there's no politically correct stance on like taxation. You know, like there's no like correct.
Yes,
No person has ever
but there
put
are,
forth like you have to believe this. It's always been like just don't say the N word when
yeah.
you say what you believe,
Or
right?
like yeah, like don't refer
okay.
to Indian
People that
American.
disagree with you.
Yeah. Or I mean,
Why
I
Indian
was about to say like
Americans?
yeah,
Yeah,
no, like to continue that, I was about to say like don't refer to Indian Americans as just brown people. It's sort of
yeah.
giving respect where it's due.
But
That's just what I've interpreted, and I know that
mhm.
there is like interpretation that PC culture is all about restricting what people can say, but I
I don't know
mean,
why you chose Indian American in particular. That feels very weird, but
Indian
yeah,
Americans, Mexican Americans,
right. Yeah, for sure.
American
Okay,
Americans,
I agree with you
whatever
there.
the
Yeah,
hell.
absolutely. Yeah, I
Mhm.
totally agree. Yeah, I think, but I get what you're trying to say. I guess
But
it's
couldn't
not always. Yeah, sorry, go
Sorry,
ahead.
but couldn't you agree that there's such thing as a politically correct stance?
No.
Oh, yes. Oh, what?
What do you
You
mean?
say
I would
No. What
say
do
no?
you
no
mean?
because I think if
When
politically
it comes to
correct,
politics, when it comes to certain policies?
if political, okay, so just based off the definition of itself, if we're using language that's used to avoid disadvantage to members of particular groups in society, then I think that I don't really see there being a stance that I can take just because this is a way
That's
to describe a
but
group, this is a
sometimes
way to describe things. So I don't see how just the
Oh, I
semantics.
see what. Oh, yeah. Okay.
but
Now
sometimes being
you're being a little
politically
pedantic then. Okay.
no, but sometimes yeah, no, but I agree that the definition itself doesn't allow for what you're saying, Yami. I don't think it allows for that. But the use of the sort of like um belief, or I don't know what you'd categorize politically correct as, like a heuristic or something, but like the use of that basically it sometimes just warps into like a ton of different meanings where I think it is possible to have a
Yeah.
politically correct stance where that's like a politically correct stance to me is like a popular stance, you know? So
Yes.
like on the stance of like immigration, it's probably politically incorrect to say like I believe that we should have a wall, you know, like a bordered wall, and we should build a wall and we should have Mexico and so forth pay for it. And even though that's not technically what that means, the what politically incorrect means, I think people kind of assume it under that definition.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
I
people
think.
people definitely like expand its definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, then I feel like that it seems that I've confused a certain I've confused I'm more I feel it feels like I'm concerned with an interpretation of the definition of political correctness. Then
Yeah. I feel like I mean I think we've got into a little rabbit hole though. Like what are you trying to say outside of the like definition? Like what do you mean?
I guess if I was going by my definition, I'm saying that the whole idea of knowing that there is one right answer is
Uh-huh.
wrong. I think that people's that the notion that maybe not everything is so set in stone is is becoming lost in this day and age,
Right. Yeah, correct.
especially
Correct.
with how like the right and the left. The left believes the very radical. The far left believes that the people on the far people who align with the far people who align with the right, sorry, are terrible human beings.
Yeah.
There are legitimately people on the left who believe that, and there are
Yes.
people on the right who believe that there's some people that there are some people on the right who believe that people who align with the left are just snowflakes and SJWs.
Yeah.
I don't think
Which
that's necessarily like because of PC. I think that's just the polarized political spectrum we live in today.
I
Which
did I mentioned PC as sort of an extension of the problem that comes with thinking that there's one right answer.
I think
oh,
I think
One
okay.
PC just yeah, it's part of like a broader movement of
yeah,
just
Yeah,
sorry.
different things, which I don't think takes away from your point at all. I think it's just a
yeah.
technicality or something,
Yeah,
which is
I'm sorry.
completely fine.
I was sorry. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool though. I didn't the fact that the true definition of political correctness is much more
I mean, it shows you that people like we warp a lot of things because
yeah.
political correctness by itself is not a terrible thing, but it's just that like when you try to silence people over the views that they have, even though they're not offending anyone, that's kind of not great.
I feel like it's one of those flashy words that people sort of throw around without really knowing what the meaning
Yes.
is,
Yeah.
without
I
really
I
knowing what the
definitely
etymology
get that.
of the word is. I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I mean like I remember I've like heard like anchors be like, listen, I'm not gonna be PC about this. I'm just gonna get straight to the point. I'm like, okay. I mean, it,
Yeah.
it's interesting how they use that
Yeah.
adjective to
And the
describe
thing
what
is,
people.
PC is not bad. The way that people
Exactly.
sometimes speak about being political correct, they talk about it as if it's bad. But from your definition, it
It's
sounds like
just
this is some.
respect.
It's about respect. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You already said it perfect. It's about respect.
Yeah.
And so the warping and the I guess perversion of the word has become troublesome in our day.
Right.
In our
For
day and
sure.
age.
For sure.
So I think we're getting close to time. And
Yeah.
if
Where
you
did
guys have,
we ended up? Yeah.
I mean, if you guys have anything else to say, then I mean,
Ideal police. Ideal police. What do you guys
okay,
think? Just quick thoughts, I guess. Like my thinking is just more in the same way we have affirmative action and everything. We should have that for police if we don't already, and we should try to make it more actionable. We should have a way for citizens to keep track of police officers.
yes.
Um, although that actually doesn't make a lot of sense if you're a criminal, because then it wouldn't help. That's a difficult one.
I
I don't
think
know.
I think that
Yeah.
I think that each like district or city should have a diverse group, a diverse council that reviews complaints
Yes.
and reviews officers and takes the appropriate actions that needs to be taken to address prejudice within the police system.
Yeah. And
So
oh yeah, sorry, go.
sorry. So you guys mentioned diversity and all that, and I completely agree with you. So I won't repeat it. I think diversity should be a definite core element of an ideal police. I know people have mentioned this in the past, but I truly do believe that mandatory body cam or being able to record what the police officer is doing when he or she goes out on a call, that should be mandatory for every single police department in the country.
You should be fired if you don't have your body cam on, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry. There are too many times where the word of a corrupt cop is taken over the victim, over the suspect or whatever, the victim.
Yeah.
Purely because, oh, well, we didn't have body cam, so it's your word against mine. And unfortunately, the police department acts under the rule that we will support our own.
Yes.
I
Which
do
is not
believe
by itself a negative thing, by the way.
it's not by itself a negative thing, but when you're trying to cover up the bad apples instead of exposing them to the public, instead of exposing them to justice and to the rule of law, then I have an issue with that. Then that's just corrupt. That's corruption. I'm sorry, that's corruption. Very two ends of this corruption and I guess brotherhood. You got kind of help you out because the role of a police officer is to serve and protect its community, right? Serve your community, please. That's all we ask, right? And I guess the second thing is that I want there to be licensing. I want, I guess, the title I guess I want a police officer to be a license. You have to have a license to become a police officer, to truly show, I guess, your community and the people around that, yes, you have done work. You have truly dedicated serious amounts of time.
And make it harder to be a police officer and have regular reviews.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because because the thing is, you're already like, what's the word? You already, I guess, weed out the people who are like, never mind. It's not worth it. This is too much work. And you actually get the people who are dedicated enough to stay.
Yes.
And commit to the role, the ideal role, the parole that the police officer or law enforcement is intended to do, which is again to serve and protect the community. Yeah. So those are just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. I think RoboCop also. Pretty good. But yeah, other than that, I mean, honestly, I think those are pretty good. I think generally, like, let's not dedicate too much time to this because it's such a hard thing to talk about without a lot of research. And maybe that's worth doing in the future. But for right now, God, this is a terrible, terrible time because you've got for a while, and this is really embarrassing to admit, I actually did not completely understand the difference between what had happened to George Floyd and the Ahmaud Arbery. What was his last name?
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah. Ahmaud
that was
Arbery.
awful. I'm sorry, Ahmaud Arbery. That was despicable. That was disgusting to look at. The video.
Because I knew the jogging thing, and then I knew the 8-minute thing, but I didn't. I'm like, it's just so much news at once about like all these terrible things that are happening, and so it's just
that's something I want to talk about in a later segment as well. Just because I want to go I want to definitely discuss citizens' arrest
Yeah.
and the liberties people are even entitled to take.
Yeah.
Dude, apparently the attorney for the person who recorded the video advised the fucking recorder to release it because he thought it would quote unquote absolve his client of any guilt. Are you fucking kidding me?
That
Are
attorney
you
So-
you
stop
dumb
building
you
business.
dumbass attorney? You goddamn you fucking piece of
Oh my
yo,
God.
that's some dumbass shit. That is some dumb ass shit. I hope that attorney isn't actually stupid and did it to expose his scummy ass client, because that is some bullshit. That is some
What's sad is that the probable motivations that the guy probably just thought no one would care, and thankfully we're at a turning point where now people are caring. And but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like COVID's still a thing, right? Like that was the name of the last episode.
coronavirus.
COVID's going strong. You can't beat that right now.
The
So
China flu, as Trump likes to call it. The China.
stop it.
China
Stop
flu.
it.
The China flu.
But yeah, I mean, do you guys want to end it out with anything to end with?
Yeah. For the 2 viewers that are still here.
Oh my
for-
fucking god.
Generous, very generous.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like, comment, subscribe. Please
Team
do.
10.
Oh, okay. No, please. We don't support. Yeah. Don't do that. Again, just let us know what you think below. Please tell us how we can improve this podcast, and I guess help you guys with the viewing experience. And I hope the rest of y'all have a great day. Stay safe, and if you are part of the protest, please be safe.
Please be safe. Please be really, really safe, because this is